Welcome, Hudson Valley. This is Conor Walsh, host of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. This week on In Touch, we speak with Chris Ellis, founder of AudioCardio. AudioCardio is a clinically proven sound therapy that maintains and restores hearing. A Stanford study showed that 78% of participants had a positive change in hearing within 3 weeks of using the app. Chris and I discuss what Hudson Valley residents need to do preventatively for noise pollution and how AudioCardio works via phone app. We invite you to join us and listen to a previously recorded conversation between Chris Ellis and myself here on In Touch. I'm so proud to announce that In Touch has received another 2 Excellence in Broadcasting Awards from the New York State Broadcasting Association for 2024. In Touch received the award for Outstanding Public Affairs Program or Series for the second year in a row. Not just that, but In Touch also received the award for Outstanding Editorial/Commentary. This recognition would not be possible without all of our phenomenal guests that we learn from and grow with every single week, and of course, you, the listener. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just found us, thank you for taking part in the conversation and staying in touch with what's going on in the Hudson Valley. Because of the awesome success of In Touch over the last year, we are expanding. We're launching a new spin-off series under the In Touch umbrella called Townsquare Spotlight. These spotlights focus on amazing celebrities and leaders passing through the Hudson Valley who are making an impact in pop culture. You can check out our latest spotlights wherever you listen to In Touch. Hello, Hudson Valley. You're listening to another episode of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We got a great episode for you guys today, and one that is really near and dear to my heart. I've talked about hearing health a lot on this. Somebody who came from music school, somebody who has studied sound and audio engineering. So this is a topic that is really important to me, and I think it should be important to a lot of you guys. It's something to really look into when it comes to your hearing health. And I'm really excited to speak to our guest today. With us is the founder of AudioCardio, Chris Ellis. Chris, how are you today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me on today.
Absolutely. And first of all, before we got onto the mic officially, you're telling me that you were traveling all over. You're typically based on the East Coast down in Florida, but right now you're out in California. You're going to be in New York tomorrow. You're all over the place. How you doing? You getting enough sleep?
I am. Yes, definitely. One of those things that I notice that bothers me when I'm on the road, though, is not being familiar with the sounds outside. And so I do notice that different cities wake me up in the middle of the night, unfortunately, depending on their loudness.
You're absolutely right about that. One thing that I noticed while I was traveling a lot 5 years ago, right before the pandemic, was, of course, you're in the airports. There's a lot of noise going on there with the technology, of course, with the airplanes, but of course the people. And then once you get to a place, trying to understand what that environment and culture is like. And as I said, you're going to be here in New York tomorrow. And of course, the show is here in New York. Really horrifying statistic for all of us who live here. New York has been ranked one of the worst places to live in the United States when it comes to noise pollution and hearing loss. Great. But that being said, of course, can you tell us what noise pollution is and why people should be worried about it? Because I'm sure there's a number of listeners who may not quite fully understand that concept.
Yeah, noise pollution is, quite simply the noise that's around us in our everyday life. We're so accustomed to it that, we really don't pay much attention and not knowing that it's slowly degrading our hearing ability. Noise levels that can damage your hearing are around us every day. Think about the, rush hour traffic, mass transportation, all the construction that's going on in various parts of New York State, but especially in New York City.
And we have a lot of people who are here in the Hudson Valley who commute back and forth to the city. We have the Amtrak stations. We have the Poughkeepsie train station, which is like the in-between between the capital region and New York City. I have a lot of friends or friends' parents who have traveled back and forth all the time. So first of all, they're dealing with the trains. They're dealing with the sound of the trains. They're dealing with the people. They're dealing with all the business and industry. And then, you got somebody like myself and my coworkers. We work in radio. We work in audio. We're constantly listening to stuff. Plus, we have all of these different performances that we put on. Hell, we just had a couple of big shows with Papa Roach and Judah and the Lion. How many people do you think were actually wearing earplugs and protecting their hearing during that? Very, very few. I myself, got protective earplugs because that's something I'm into.
but so many people don't. And, really looking into your hearing health is really important. And that's where you come in, and that's where you got AudioCardio. So could you tell us what inspired you to create AudioCardio, and how does it help people out?
Yeah, so the inspiration actually came from a personal issue that I was facing with my family. My grandfather, suffered from severe hearing loss. He had something else called tinnitus, or tinnitus, as a lot of people refer to it, which is ringing in the ears. And as I was, taking care of him, and he had later in life he had dementia. But as I was just doing research and just trying to better understand how we could help him, I found studies associating a higher risk of cognitive decline and dementia later in life with untreated hearing loss. My grandfather was in the Air Force. He was a hydraulics engineer. We're talking like, back in the 60s and 50s. And so, hearing protection probably wasn't as good as it is today, or we definitely know that it wasn't. And he was just one of those guys that no matter what, you were never going to see him with a hearing aid. He just, as they say, suffered in silence, unfortunately.
But Ching, suffer in silence, absolutely, in that case. No, that is kind of crazy. And actually, it's funny, you and I have very similar backgrounds in that case, because we were taking care of my grandfather. He was in the Navy in like the 50s and 60s. He eventually had dementia, and he had a lot of hearing loss issues. He did get a hearing aid. However, he would always lose them. He would take them out because he would always be so confused with them. And then it was a matter of trying to find them and trying to protect. And it was a whole mess. So that's interesting. I hear a lot of my story in your story. So that's very interesting. So you're inspired by your grandfather and the issues related to cognitive function, related to dementia, and just overall hearing altogether. So then that was the inspiration. Now talk to us about the action. Talk to us about the work that AudioCardio does.
Yeah, so around that same time that, I was taking care of my grandfather, I was connected to a inventor out of South Korea who's now my co-founder, Sam Kwok. And so he had invented our technology called threshold sound conditioning. And essentially what we're doing is we're stimulating the cells just below the audible level to help basically strengthen them. And the way we do that is, it's a lot like muscle memory, or what we call physical therapy for your hearing. That's what our tagline is with AudioCardio. We're continuously and repeatedly stimulating the cells just below the audible level. And what we're essentially doing is recruiting nearby cells, basically reprogramming them to help them become more sensitive to other frequencies so that they can perform that function for the diminished or damaged cells. Another thing that's happening there is coenzyme activity. And basically when a cell becomes active, it also has a repair function. So it's also helping reduce free radicals. Getting into the science a little bit, but of course it's cellular repair. And then it's also neuroplasticity at work. So when you continuously and repeatedly do something, as I had mentioned muscle memory earlier, those neurons are better able to communicate with each other and perform their functions of sending the signals to the brain so that, we can process it as meaningful sound. And so AudioCardio essentially delivers this sound therapy, and over time you should be able to hear those sounds at a lower level, thus, repairing your hearing.
That's incredible, especially because I've had discussions with a lot of different experts saying how difficult it is to bring back any kind of hearing loss. There's surgeries that can be done. You can have the prosthetics, you can have the hearing aids, and it makes, it helps, but there's a lot going on around that. I have here a Stanford study showed that over 78% of participants had a positive change in hearing just within 3 weeks of using your program. That is incredible. What does that feel like to know that you have stumbled upon more than just stumbled upon something? You've created something that is actively helping people get something back that for such a long time was believed to be irreversible.
I mean, it's an incredible feeling. I mean, with any startup, especially in the early days, there are definitely struggles. And so getting emails, getting inquiries about our solution or feedback, not only from individuals using our product, but from their care providers, their audiologists and ENTs asking us about our technology because it's made such a big impact, wanting to know more and wanting to know who else they could provide it to, definitely keeps us going. And it's been an incredible ride, and we look forward to helping millions of people throughout the world.
That really is incredible. So is there like certain age ranges that this helps, or does it help all age ranges? And then also, does it target specific kinds of hearing loss? Like, could it help people through trauma, or those who naturally lose it over time? Is there a line where it can't help, or is it available for all of these?
No, those are great questions. We've done our clinical studies, with people between the ages of 18 and 80, and having a tremendous effect throughout all age demographics. But I'll also say that, just with our subscriber base, I mean, we have, people as young as 13, 14 years old using our application. Obviously, with the proliferation of headphones and music festivals and just louder experiences, people that are younger and younger are having hearing damage. And then another thing to mention really is that a lot of our subscriber base we thought would be typically older, maybe more in the 45 to 65 plus range. But a good majority of our users are actually in their 20s and 30s. So
Oh,
it's
wow.
great to see that people are getting, taking care of their hearing health earlier. But but also I'm noticing that people are having hearing issues earlier in their life as well. And the types of hearing loss that we target is called sensor and neural hearing loss, which is actually about 90% of the world's hearing loss. It's age related, it's noise induced, it's
Mm.
from traumatic brain injury. The type of hearing loss that we don't target is more if it's something that could be physical. For instance, like a blockage of the ear canal from earwax or a perforated eardrum. Those are things that we have incredible doctors, ENTs, and surgeons that can help repair those, and audiologists, of course, as well. And so that type of hearing loss is not something that we target. But of course, age-related, noise-induced, those are things that we're certainly able to help with.
That's really interesting. And that's really amazing, the fact that you're getting such a younger demographic with this. It's great to see, yes, they are getting their hearing health taken care of, but also at the same time that you're seeing these issues happen at earlier ages. And one thing while you're talking, this question just popped up in my head. I didn't even have this one prepared, but do you guys also take care of people who are born with hearing loss? Have you been able to help anybody in those lines, or is it more people who develop hearing loss over time?
Yeah, we've been working with people who have developed hearing loss over time. We've not done research on anyone that was, born with hearing loss. That is
Mhm.
something that we want to look at, as we continue to develop our technology and do more research, wanting to see, where else can we help individuals.
Honestly, what you're doing already is really fantastic, but the question just popped in my head while we were talking. It's like, oh, that would be interesting to ask. But no, I have a lot more that I really want to keep diving into about this, especially in the world that we are in now. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We're speaking with Chris Ellis, founder of AudioCardio, this application that is helping people all over regain hearing after hearing loss, whether through age or trauma or something along those lines. And we're in a very noisy day and age. There's so much noise, and you're just looking for a whisper in a world that only shouts. And here we are, something that many people have said, hearing loss is irreversible. AudioCardio is showing that people are having positive changes in their hearing just within 3 weeks. And it really is impressive. So we've been talking about how, younger people are losing their hearing. There are headphones, earbuds, concerts, just simply noise in traffic, things along those lines. Before we go into the nitty gritty of like the app, what are some really good practices that you recommend to users or anybody out there to protect their hearing?
Yeah, I would say the number one thing is just turning down the volume on any device that you're using, if possible, especially, when you're wearing headphones, or whether they're over the ear, in ear, on the ear, it doesn't matter. Turning that down, it will be really helpful. That's the first thing. Of course, when you're watching TV and doing things like that. But when you're attending concerts, music festivals are very popular this day and age. Wearing any type of protection would be great, right? It would be, you can do anything from buying custom earplugs all the way down to over the counter type of earplugs. Even the foam ones are better than nothing. So using earplugs for sure. We like to recommend using the AudioCardio app. One, it's a corrective procedure or treatment, but also using it prior to going to an event can also help strengthen it so that it's conditioned, so that it also has a protective mechanism. So using it before, during, and not during the concert, but of course after,
Yes.
is important for hearing protection as well.
Oh, wow. That really is actually interesting. I wasn't as keyed in on the preventative features of that. That's really awesome to hear, and I'm happy to hear about that. So you would say you recommend even the lower end, those foam earplugs, like, as you said, better than nothing, right? Because I have both. I have both the foam and custom stuff. And I know it helps me. I walk away from concerts not having headaches. And
Absolutely.
it's a
Absolutely.
big deal.
I've even been in a position where I've taken I wouldn't recommend this to everyone, but I've taken napkins and put them in my ears, just knowing
Yes,
how loud it
same,
is. So,
same. There have been times I've forgotten my earplugs and I just wanted something, so I'd go to the bathroom, like put like little balls of toilet paper in my ear.
I've done it. For
I've
sure.
I've done it, absolutely. Well, it was funny. My girlfriend and I, we went to see Fall Out Boy not too long ago, and of course I had my earplugs, and I even brought along extra foam ones for her. And she's like, "Oh, I'm not going to wear these. Are you kidding?" As soon as the music starts, she goes, "Wear those earplugs."
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Definitely.
So when it comes to AudioCardio, it's an application. You can get this on your phone, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so you can get it on your phone. You can pretty much use it just about anywhere. What's like the best time? Is it something that you use before bed, during bedtime? Is there any way that you can use it while sleeping? Like, what does using this application look and sound like?
The AudioCardio app can be accessed anywhere, anytime, through the Apple App Store or Google Play stores. The only thing that you have to be aware of is the main thing, I should say, is that when you're doing your hearing assessment within the application, is to do that in a quiet room. And the reason why we're doing that is really to do two things. One, to give you a baseline score to help you monitor your progress, but more importantly, it's to calibrate the sound therapy specific for your unique hearing ability. And what we're basically doing is giving you an assessment so that we can find your lowest threshold of sound, so what you can basically barely hear for each frequency range. And then we play a tone just below that last audible level so that you can't hear it. And we're playing these tones repeatedly, continuously, over and over again, so that over time, you'll start to hear that tone. And then when you do, you'll want to retake your assessment, get your new sound therapy for your new hearing levels. Only the hearing assessment needs to be done in a quiet room. The actual activation of the sound therapy can be done while you're working out. You can be listening to music. You could be, checking email, going for a walk, or even sleeping. Obviously, if you're sleeping and listening to the sound therapy, you'll want to make sure you have a comfortable pair of headphones so that doesn't disrupt your sleep. The sound therapy will automatically shut off after the 1 hour.
Okay, very good. That sounds good. Is this something that you mentioned, if you're sleeping, comfortable set of headphones, is this something I could use just with your phone's audio system, or is this something that you have to wear some kind of headphones for?
Yeah, you'll want to wear a set of headphones because your left ear and your right ear will have different hearing levels. So we will put specific sound therapies for your left ear for what's most damaged there, as well as your right. And then, of course, you can cycle through a variety of programs within the application to target, low frequencies, high frequencies, or any area that you want to target for your own personal use.
Oh, that's really good to know. Do you have like a preference when it comes to the kind of headphones that people use while using this app? Do you prefer the Bluetooth buds? Do you prefer the wired buds? Do you prefer over the ears? What's the best way for somebody to engage with AudioCardio, or is there a best way?
It's really up to the individual. The most important thing about those headphones, though, is that when you're taking the assessment, you'll want to use the same headphones for both the assessment and the sound therapy. All headphones have different power levels and abilities, drivers, if you will. Because of that, you'll want to make sure that that part's consistent so that when you do the assessment, since that's calibrating the sound therapy, it'll still be equal when you're using those same headphones.
Wow. Okay. And what's your preference on noise canceling headphones? Does that really make a difference in that case? Obviously, you want to be somewhere quiet while you're doing the assessment, but using noise canceling stuff, does that make a difference for it, in your opinion?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend using noise canceling if you have that ability, because of the assessment portion of it, where you can create a quieter environment. The quietest environment will be the best, so that we can be more accurate with the sound therapy calibration.
That's awesome. And especially because I feel like they're a lot more accessible now, and people are able to get their hands on those, and it should be able to help people out. The headphones that I'm wearing right now are noise canceling, and I got them for just about like $100. So I think it's much more accessible these days, and you're able to work along those lines. So when it comes to, you said there's a lot of people in their 20s and 30s that are going through hearing loss right now. What kind of frequencies are you seeing? Is there a trend when it comes to the frequencies that are being lost in the younger generation? And do you have a hypothesis as to why that might be?
Yeah, we're seeing high frequency hearing loss. That's the trend, not just for the younger generation, but for most people. That tends to be the frequencies that get most damaged. They're on the outer part of the ear, so they get the most stimulation, the most wear and tear. And there's a lot of high frequencies in our environment as well, different pitches and sounds. So they just tend to be the ones that wear down the most. But that doesn't mean, some people have low frequency hearing loss, and others have something called cookie bite hearing loss, which is kind of in the middle. But for all of these different types of hearing loss, we have sound therapies to target each different type.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And when it comes to AudioCardio as a whole, you said they can get it on the Apple App Store. You said they can get it on the Google Play Store. Is there anything else in particular about the app that anybody should be aware of when it comes to getting it? Is there a price to this app? Is it free? What's the best way that people can get their hands on this?
Yeah, so everyone will have a 14-day free trial to just kind of get familiar with the application and see if it may work for them. Although our studies show, that kind of over 75% success rate after 3 weeks, a lot of people start to notice minor changes, slight changes within 1 to 2 weeks, and then you'll want to continue to use it, just like diet or exercise. You want to keep working on something that's improving. So yeah, that's kind of how we look at it, with the 14-day free trial to get you familiar with it. And then there's a variety of subscriptions ranging from monthly to annual, but an annual subscription is $99, so that equates to about $8.33 a month.
And to be honest, when it comes to your hearing health, that sounds great than having to pay all the large medical bills because you put that to the side or procrastinated or you did something reckless with your hearing. So I think that's very much worth it. Chris, this has been a really great episode, and I greatly appreciate everything that you've been saying. There will be links and information in the description of this episode. So if you're looking to start that free trial of AudioCardio, we have all the links available. We'll be able to get you the app. You can learn more on their website. I think this is a revolutionary application that should be able to help out a lot of people. Chris, before we wrap up, do you have any last little nugget for our listening audience, whether about the app or hearing health in general?
Yeah, with hearing health, it's known as the invisible disease or the invisible disability, if you will. So just getting people aware of their hearing health, their environment, the sounds that they're around is so important. And just having that awareness can be incredibly helpful in managing your hearing health and getting ahead of things before they become a problem. So if nothing else, definitely, see an audiologist, learn more about how it not only affects, your hearing, but how it also affects your social relationships, your relationships with your family, of course. And there's a lot of unfortunately secondary, mental and physical issues that come along with it. So taking care of it is really important. And I hope that everyone at least, does that a little bit more now that after listening to this episode.
Absolutely. And actually, in just couple in the last minute or two that we have here, unfortunately, but you said as before you did this with your grandfather with his tinnitus, with his dementia, but I know that this also aggravates depression, sometimes paranoia, things along those lines. What other things can hearing loss or hearing damage influence when it comes from a mental standpoint?
Well, right. Yeah. It's, when I look at, someone like my grandfather and his journey, right? It started with, his frustration of not being able to communicate with friends and family. Then it became isolation, anxiety, depression, cognitive decline. People that have damaged hearing are also known to fall more, right? So it's your sense of
Yeah.
balance, and hearing and balance are also related. So there's a lot of secondary physical and mental issues that can also be triggered by untreated hearing loss. So, just staying on top of this, just along with the rest of your health, right? It's all one ecosystem. So managing all of it's very, very important.
Absolutely. I'm glad that we got that last bit in there about how it can affect the mental health as well. It really is all connected, and that's why it's so important to look into this. Again, you can look into AudioCardio by going to the description of this interview. We got everything for you guys. Chris, thank you so much for the work that you're doing, and thank you for taking a moment out of your busy schedule to speak with us here at In Touch. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
This has been this week's edition of In Touch, the award-winning public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. We want to give a big thank you to Chris Ellis. For more, visit audiocardio.com or find it on the Apple or Google app stores. Whether you've been listening for a while or you just joined us, thank you. You can find In Touch episodes new and old on your favorite streaming services like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and more. That and listen on demand with your Townsquare radio station mobile app. Of course, you can still find all articles and audio under the In Touch tab on this radio station's app and website. And don't forget, we're also on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at InTouch_HV. I've been your host, Conor Walsh. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time